Happy New Year. Welcome to Get Folked. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Folked, a casual listening podcast anchored in the theme of folk music and our love of it, but with enough slack in the line to let us wander into the lives of Limerick, Berlin, and beyond. The lives being our lives and our lives within those places. My name's Andrew.
And my name's Edward. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I keep forgetting to say share. Share us and spread the good word.
Spread the word.
Podcast with the people you like and people you dislike. We don't mind, you know. Reform those connections. The long lost friend. Well, now you didn't lose them, but maybe you had a falling out over a borrowed cup or something like that. Reconnect with them. You know, life's too short. You know,
get a post-it note, write "Get Folked" on it, and give it to them as a present. You know, write a little link to the podcast. Say, "This is for you. This is my gift to you."
Very annoying receiving a URL written down, doesn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's like someone takes it.
Someone copy and paste it for them.
You ask someone for a number, and they send you a screenshot.
It's so irritating when someone does that.
Like, even we have moved with the times with that one, but it's happened on occasion with me as well. Usually with loved ones, actually, people I can't really kind of have a go
call
at.
Yeah. Same with like locations as well. If you send me the location and they send you a screen grab of the location on a map. So it's a picture of a map with the pin on it. And
so you have to get out the sextet, what's he called, the thing the ship people use? That's
sextant.
Funny. A sextant, yeah.
I
was doing the only reason the reason I want to sound intelligent is because I was reading I was doing a thing with my son the other day, and the term sextant came up, and
Daddy, what's a sextant? Well, it's time we've had the sextant talk, son. It's about time I sit you down and we have the sextant talk.
Yeah, so we had the sextant talk. I have to say it's quite a limited talk. They use it to measure. Like even now, I'm like, it's ships, isn't it? Is it ships or is it no stars? Is it or ships? Ships use it.
Well, I shouldn't have. I shouldn't be eating Quality Street while on a thing. I wasn't expecting a question so early in your explanation of the sextant. I thought you were going to give me a bit more time.
I have to say, because the book we're reading is like it's called Myrtle. It's quite a really nice book, actually.
Diary of a Sextant Worker.
But it's kind of it's yeah.
Nothing. Maybe nothing for that one. Diary of a Sextant Worker.
Because I was already getting into my thing about. So it was a delayed reaction, but yes, I do enjoy it. The Sextant Diaries. Oh, there is no sex diaries. No, what were those diaries called? The Red Shoe Diaries. They were the one.
With, what was your man's name? David
Schwimmer. No, Schwimmer. No, Hasselhoff.
Hasselhoff. Although I'd say now his diaries, no shortage of the sheks.
Oh God, what's his name from the X-Files?
David Duchovny.
That's it.
Yeah. So I suppose for people who don't know, before David Duchovny did the X-Files, before he did the X-Files, David Duchovny did a TV show called The Red Shoe Diaries. From what I can make out, I think people sent him stories about their sexual exploits. This is a dramatization. This isn't like him making a documentary. It's him. This is a dramatization, and he plays the part of somebody who gets these letters from people. I don't know why, and he then reads them, and then the viewer gets to see his imaginings of the contents of these letters being acted. It was just waist up nudity, basically.
Yeah, but yeah, enough, enough. That's all I'm saying. Mary,
Enough.
If you're listening. Because back in the
pull
day
it out for
when there was maybe just one or two movie channels in the sphere of Sky, when Sky were, when they were focused in on just like the movie channel, it was a late night. It was a late night romp when the bar was packed and Andrew had the free reign of the diaries and David Duchovny's.
It's just a fact of human nature. We just can't see enough boobs. Just
not enough.
Absolutely, not enough will sate our appetite.
Anyway, back to the sextant pistols.
I'll
get back into the.
It's going to be really apparent to everyone that we're going to have far more to say about David Duchovny's exploits in the Red Shoe Diaries than we will about maritime navigation equipment.
That's true. We've leaned into our
area of expertise.
No, I don't. I didn't know much about it because the sextant was purely a murder weapon. It's a book that gives you three. It's a little story. Like each page has like 100 puzzles in it, and each puzzle you get 3 characters, 3 locations, and 3 murder weapons. And you kind of have to read it, and it's kind of like it's kind of like, for all intents and purposes, a Sudoku, where you're trying to figure out, like, okay, you have to X there because that's there, or Cluedo, I guess, isn't it? Cluedo, is that Cluedo? How Cluedo works, where you have to go, yeah, he was in the conservatory with the candlestick or whatever. So
I've never played Cluedo, and frankly, if I saw anyone holding a candlestick, I'd be suspicious straight away.
Well, if you saw someone holding a sextant,
you're going to need him.
Just someone walks in with a sextant, you're like, that's a guy I want to talk to. That's
You're going to need a motive straight away, or like an alibi straight away if you're carrying a fucking sextant around. I think, to be honest, I'm not an expert. I don't know for sure, but I think, wasn't it used to? I thought it was more to do with the sun. Did they use them at nighttime as well? Maybe they did, but I thought for sure it was like the angle of the sun, and you'd be able to, and where you were, you'd work out your position relative to, the time of day, where the sun was. I don't know, something like that.
Well, it was a murder weapon in this book, and that's all we needed to know was it in the location that the murder happened. I can't remember if it was or it wasn't.
I'm sure the person who invented the sextant would be happy to know it's got multifunction use. It can be used as a murder weapon.
Absolutely. God, they're famous. They're on a podcast now. We'll give them a shout out next week when we return to our housekeeping. Maybe you've got a long list of housekeeping prepared, have you?
Not a long list. I have some items, but not a long list. I'm to be honest, I'm off to a bad start. I've got Quality Street, a box Quality Street open, because Quality Street, one of those boxes. It's one of those controversial boxes of chocolates that some people don't like, and some people do like. So
I'll tell you what, Ed, you have yourself a Quality Street there, and people can enjoy the 2025 introduction of housekeeping. It's back. The sultry sounds of Quality Street. House. This is housekeeping.
So, after listening to that, I know what my New Year's resolution is.
Come up with a new housekeeping jingle.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Have you zoned in on that one? Is that it for you? Have you made a conscious list of revolutions?
I didn't have any. I didn't have any until I heard that, and now I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's my New Year's resolution.
Also, to stop eating Quality Street right after this podcast.
Until that box is gone.
Until the box is gone. Yeah, that's the thing about living over here. We don't. Not that we particularly. This is not a reach out for people to post in, but not many boxes of sweets. I guess as teachers you get biscuits, a lot of biscuits coming in. And Germans
Okay.
like their biscuits as well, and bags of biscuits. They're more into the biscuit thing, I think, over here than kind of a box of chocolates. You know, these
And
Christmas cookies.
yeah, they're not particularly nice. They're not to my taste anyway.
No, they're very much like the bread. It's the things that I have not I have not gravitated towards even over a decade of living here. The biscuits are just not nice, and the bread is just like dense. I don't know. It's like a weapon. It's like there could be a loaf of bread coming up in that book fairly soon. Just a German loaf of bread.
There you go.
Man,
What does German bread and a sextant have in common? Could be a pub. Could be a pub
there you
quiz.
go.
I know, that would be a bad one. Anyway, I'll get on to my housekeeping. Excuse me. So you might remember, it feels like a long time since we've recorded a podcast, but that's only because we recorded our last one so early. I think we recorded it on a Friday morning. So
God, the entire Christmas week becomes, does every single time, just becomes a blur of days that you don't recognize. I think you probably have that more this time because of you landed in a nice kind of time of holidays where your kind of holidays linked with other time off, and you kind of got a stretch. So you probably felt that too.
nice. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah, so I'm kind of although I'm aware now because the kids go back to school this week, so it's very much I know where I am now, So
Yeah,
it's nice.
yeah. You put away the sextant. The sextant was out. I know where I am now. Children, school is soon. I can see it. What are you doing, Dad? Shh. I'm trying to read the sextant.
The sun is at its zenith. That makes sense. Anyway, we referenced an ant controlling fungus in last week's podcast.
Yes.
So the correct name for it is Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, otherwise known as cordyceps or zombie ant fungus. It infects insects such as ants or spiders. And like other parasites, cordyceps drains its host completely of nutrients before filling its body with spores that will let the fungus reproduce. How awesome is it that something like that exists?
Yeah.
Because we're lucky that it doesn't infect us.
Not yet. Not yet. Stick around. Stick around.
2025.
You're the funk. You're the funk.
Next one. Oh yeah, I referenced gentry last week, and I said I asked the room, are there still gentry in Ireland? It's hard to say that word for some reason. Are there still gentry in Ireland? And at first I was like, God, actually, what are gentry? And gentry are, maybe you know this, but it's like they were like an aristocracy, an aristocratic class in Ireland and England, but let's say keeping it Irish based. And they used to be landowners who would be able to live exclusively off the rent that they would get from land. So they'd be known as landed gentry. So that's what, if you owned land in that way and managed land and rented land that way, you're known as a gentry. Obviously, in Ireland, there's I'd say, to put it mildly, a complex kind of view on let's say people who would have owned land during the time of like English occupation. So yeah, there's kind of a negative connotation, I would say, for most people with the term landed gentry. So it's not something you hear much anymore. But as to my question about whether or not they're still there are still some descendants of landed gentry in Ireland, and some of them did get to still hold their land, albeit not in the same way, I think, So it's kind of a complex one. Yeah. Their descendants are still there.
I would say there's a lot of that. There's a lot of. Yeah. They just went radio silence. They kind of at some point they just kind of went, okay, let's shut up and just farm or do whatever. And
well, they lost their political position. They lost their. They lost their societal.
They held position, a political. They were part of governmental things, kind of. As well,
no, it's just that they would have had, let's say, they would have had a lot more say in society, let's say, than other citizens, let's say, than non-landowning people and stuff like that. Like a lot of time, your ability to vote would have been dependent on whether you owned land or not. You know what I mean? So if you had no land, it changed. It changed, like, as years went on. But even, I'd have to look up at the years, but like, it wasn't. It was never universal suffrage. I mean, it wasn't universal suffrage until I don't know what year. It was certainly after the Free State was declared, anyway. But like even before that, when it was just men, it wasn't all men. It was like men who owned land. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say they lost their political power. Let's say, you know. So yeah, when you say radio silent, it's because they lost that power, basically. You know? So yeah, there's still some of them around. Some of the big names that would have been living in Ireland. Their descendants are still here, basically, but some of them are. So yeah, interesting though.
Yeah.
And sorry, did you have something else to say there?
No. I was all that goes in my head is just like, you know, I've visited kind of, you know, back years and years ago, just visiting people who like, or friends or whatever, or people in houses and stuff like that. And you walk into it and you're like, this place is like a castle, you know, like,
Yeah.
but like we would never know because of course they're back in from the main road, like the land, and you kind of, you know, obviously they're not. Nobody's going around going, look how big my house is.
Yeah.
But when you kind of when you lift the veil or whatever, or are allowed back in kind of to the back, it's like, oh Jesus Christ! So this is clearly a line of people that have kind of, you know, I'm sure they worked their way and they did their part, but you know, there's there definitely is a sense of kind of this has come from a possibly a long line of gentlemen. Let's say.
Well, like, well, it's something that you would have to look at the, like, let's say certainly historically, you'd have to look at it and go, okay, there was definitely an exploitative relationship there between the people who owned the land and the people who had to work on it. So that's where the negative feeling comes from, basically.
Absolutely,
and that whole exploitation was tied in with, you know, the British rule. So that's it's not that complex, really, I guess. So, but you're right. There's loads of them. There's actually not loads, but there's a few houses like that around, even around Ballinderry. There's one in particular I'm thinking of. Another one in Coolbawn. Yeah, so there's quite a good few manor houses still
same around Burskane as well. Yeah, and kind of the houses that have stayed in families for many generations. But if you went back a couple of hundred, it'd be very different. It'd be kind of maybe similar. Did we talk about the castle that's out in? Was that in person? We talked about Tumbercan Castle, or was that in on the podcast? I can't remember now.
It wasn't on last week's podcast. It was
awkward when we get together because now we don't know. Now we've hung out, we can't differentiate. But not that castle was, but like I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, that I guess that castle that the castle I'm referring to, if I haven't mentioned in previous one, was Tumbercan Castle. Which is now a ruin, but an excellent ruin, and one that's really nice to, if you want to jump the wall. I don't know if it's legal or not. Probably
it's definitely not legal.
It's definitely not.
It's like 100% not legal. But if you want to do it, do it.
You want to do
don't
it.
Don't blame us.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I didn't do it, but I know someone that did it. And they told me all about it, and it's quite awesome in there in terms of just structurally and just amazing how it looks inside these castles as well. Anyway, now I'm going down a different road of how amazing these things are, but they are amazing as well. But what's not amazing is the maybe the historical context within they were built. I think that Tumbercan Castle, I think I was telling you the brief research that I could find on it online. It was like what did I say it was? It was an hearsay. It was a letter written from 1926, and it was like hearsay letter. The source was hearsay, and it was all about how the Irish were. It was only 1926 would be too recent for that. It must have been 1826. I can't remember what the year was, but heads being there was a bounty given for any Irish head that was brought back to the castle.
Definitely wasn't 1926 anyway.
That would have been a little bit too recent. We were doing a bit better then, a little bit better. So
full of heads.
Yeah. Anyways.
I feel like I give Irish history a bit of a short shrift in a way. Like I got very into like European history and that, but like Irish history for some reason I never really got big into it. I don't know why.
Sure, nobody Ed, has suffered like the Irish have suffered. Nobody.
Did I tell you about that? Are you referring to what I
that's right.
told you?
Yeah, a story that you told me before.
Oh
About
my God.
What was it again? I always think about that when I'm talking to like people from Eastern Europe or like, or people when people start having conversations about Balkan wars and stuff. And you told me.
So yeah, what Andy's referring to there is we were in a bar one night in Germany, in a small town in Germany, and we were with some drinking with some friends and that, and there was this one Irish guy there who was he was obsessed with Ireland and being Irish, and he was Irish himself and whatnot. Like, now he's a friend, okay, but he was like, when friends say stupid things and they're still, you know what I mean? It just happens, So anyway,
Nope.
we were all quite drunk. No, never happened.
Not in this circle. Not in this circle. But I know other friends who say stupid things.
But anyway, he said, no, there was me. So it was me and him were Irish. There was a German person. And then there was a guy from Macedonia as well. And he said to these two, he goes, no other people has suffered throughout history like the Irish people. To a German who is just like have fought 2 world wars in the fucking 20th century, and to a Macedonian who was I suppose in the neck of the woods of the spark of the First World War and offer
and also going back probably wasn't that all Alexander the Great? Wasn't that all his territory as well?
That's right. Yeah. It's just such a fantastically wrong statement to make. Incorrect. And he was shot down. Not to say there was pretty hard.
And we're not knocking Irish history again. You said it at the beginning of this. You do. You do. I guess it's like visiting landmarks in your own city. When people say, "Have you ever been there?" It's like, no, I never bothered. Like, but and maybe we do that a little bit with Irish history as well. But it is a hilarious. It's hilarious to just be. What's the word? Trying to be definitive about something, anything really. It's something I think I've talked about it in the podcast before about trying to ward my son off this kind of way of thinking ever to say like, this is the most, this is the biggest, this is the,
Yeah. It's very tempting to do that, though. I have to say, to give a definitive statement, but it's usually wrong. So there are still people who might refer to themselves as gentry in Ireland, and but not many other people would, I think. Anyway, there was question marks over a song title that Carol sang, and the song actually was "Summer Fly," written by Cheryl Wheeler in 1979.
Summer Fly. See, I was calling it. Summer Flies.
Yeah. So this is Summer Fly. So it's written by Cheryl Wheeler, 1979. She's a folk singer from Massachusetts, I believe. So she's that was that song. I couldn't think of the name of it. The next thing was examples of a canon. Couldn't think of an example of a canon.
Shit.
Right?
So this is mine. I'm going to get back on this housekeeping thing, Ed. I'm going to get better at it.
First thing in the morning, I know. Yeah. First thing in the morning, I know.
New Year's resolutions. Podcast revolutions. Resolutions. Jesus Christ.
Have you thought of a famous canon? I've got 2 in front of me here now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm back to the exact place I was a week ago. It's like there's a like
don't overthink it now.
There's a beer drinking one. I like because I remember because hey ho. No, I'm doing the same thing I think I did last week. Go on, give me the canon. Are we going to canon?
We are. Row your boat gently down the stream.
Row your
merrily,
boat
merrily,
gently down the
merrily,
stream.
life is but a dream. Row your boat gently down the stream.
We are folk singers. We are. You can buy. Album is coming out this year. I put that in the box. That whole announcement. Album should be done by last summer.
I think it'll be this year. I think it'll be good. I think we'll have it done this year. Frere, but row your boat would probably be more of a bonus track, I would say.
Yeah. Well, live show. We'll split the audience into five cannons. There's only three things in that, so you can only have 3 cannons, isn't there?
No, we'll do 5.
Row.
The other famous one is Frere Jacques. for all the French listeners out there, of whom there are many.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now, you also said that you would do a canon for everyone this week, so we've ticked that box there as well.
There. Oh, I did. Oh, good.
Yeah, so you're good. We got you. And that's all the housekeeping stuff that I have. Are you looking for a pen and paper there now, or what's going on? You're looking around for something.
I literally was going to look for a pen and paper to write down, look up that canon that I do know that like our school sang, but I've got tissues.
Okay,
I've got heart-shaped Post-it notes.
Okay,
I've got
that can count as a paper, but you're lacking a pen.
I've got some sort of Vodafone manual.
If it's important enough,
if
it's important enough for you, Andy, you'll write it in blood. You'll cut your finger and you'll write it in blood. That's what I think. So,
no, then it's not important. That was housekeeping. I have another Quality Street Ed. I'm going to cut this one short.
I've earned it.
Oh, too slow. So resolutions. You have no New Year's resolutions.
No.
You don't. Have you ever been one to really buy into the resolution?
Not really. No. I think like most people, I think it's like if you're going to do it, you don't need the new year to do it. You're just going to do it. And for me, that mostly means I'm not going to do it.
Who are we kidding here?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I know, I'm sure I've done the whole resolution thing, but I can't remember any recent ones, recent examples.
For me,
I've got to stop watching David Duchovny and the Red Shoe Diaries. That was probably a resolution at one stage.
Got to stop writing to David Duchovny with my Red Shoe Diary stories. I'll tell you this one time, David. Oh man, I can still. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't know what that sounds so weird. I can still remember.
I've got such fond memories.
Oh Christ! I don't really. Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of like just getting back on the same wagon that you were on previously. Trying to get back on the wagons that you've previously been on.
Where did that saying come from?
Getting back on the wagon, yeah, because I have interchanged it with getting back on the horse. Because like I as someone who has been kicked off a horse before, kicked off, yeah, I used to go to this place. I think it might even still be open. There used to be a horse training place called McDonald's near Nina.
Ah, I went there.
Oh, did you? Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Listen, a couple of equine scientists over here will be soon. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it was one summer or whether it was like a couple of summers. But I remember we went there for a bit. And they used to, if you remember then, that like used to take the horses out. I had a horse called Twix, and used to they'd have the training area where you just kind of go around in circles, whatever, and practice kind of the trot and then the canter and then the gallop.
I'd say they were ponies, though, were they?
Would they be ponies? Possibly,
they were. I think they were.
But they used to go, whenever we'd go outside. Now, all of it's very hazy for me. But when we went outside, you used to go down to they had a kind of like a fort down the very bottom.
That's right. Yeah.
And you used to be able to go around down there. And I still remember just being on. I think it was Twix, and there was a low hanging branch, but it was perfectly in an L shape. Like downward L, downward. What other fucking L is there? Like an L, and but a capital L shape. And whatever happened, I wasn't looking and jogging along, and next thing the fucking branch hooked onto my neck.
Fucking hell!
It pulled me off the horse and fell off the horse. And I can always remember them coming up to me, and the phrase they used kind of for everyone that fell off a horse was, "You have to fall off a horse 7 times before you become a jockey." That's the rule. Now, my brother had a far more traumatic experience because he was kicked off his horse. And I don't know if you remember, but in the middle of that fort was literally a mountain of nettles. There was a mountain of nettles. And he got kicked off the horse and he landed in there.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure he could tell the story of that one. I'm sure it's there, but I can still picture him going, well, thank fuck. But anyway.
So it was a great place to go. I really enjoyed it because you were given a lot of freedom. I mean, you were under the supervision of people who were maybe they're teenagers themselves sometimes, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I always felt, even as a young boy going down there, I understood in my head. Okay, they took us down to this fort, as you were calling, which was just a collection of trees. Really, it was like a little forest. But it was like, I think they called it the fort. I think that's how we both have the same memory of the same thing, because we didn't go together. We didn't really know each other at that time, I think, really. And so I always remember going down there and thinking, they have a way higher estimation of my abilities than actually exist if they're taking me into this place. Because they go, okay, now we're going to play a game like tag or something. You'd be playing tag, I'll be kind of expected to like canter around it among the woods and the trees. It's like, I mean, I've seen enough like of Robin Hood to know somebody's going to get hit with branch here, and I'm going to fall off. You know, and there's one time I completely lost control of the pony and did exactly what you're not supposed to do. I started shouting at the pony, and they went buck ape altogether then, and just.
You start shouting at the pony?
To slow down, the fuck. I don't know, was it their English? It wasn't so good. I don't know, but they just didn't
Irish
respond.
Ponies, man.
Irish ponies.
They're
used to the gentry. They're used to the fucking gentry, sure.
You should know this. What's slow down in Irish? That's a sign that you be passing every day. Shliama. Oh God, I shouldn't have. Why did I get involved?
His way out. Gamal, no?
Gamal. Oh, look at that. Gamal,
you bollocks.
Yeah, they did give us a lot of freedoms. We've stumbled a lot of that because we talked about the kayaking before. So we keep meeting these people who overestimate our abilities as athletes, I guess.
Just in general.
Just athletes. Yeah, but
there was this other time. There was this other time as well. There was other time with the same in the same place. I wasn't in the fort, but we were doing a kind of a trek around this like really big field. But we were doing it around the perimeter of the field, so there was a fence between us and let's say it was the ditch. We were inside the field, beside the ditch, and there was like a boundary wire keeping us from the rest of the field, basically. So we were supposed to be going around the outside of the perimeter of the field. And for some reason, I was, I think I had to stop. There was a problem with the saddle or whatever, and get it fixed. So I had to get it fixed or whatever. So everyone else has gone off while this is getting fixed. The rest of the pony troop had gone off. And so they were about like, I don't know.
It's a posse, I think, when it's called.
Yeah.
A group of horses.
My pony posse. They were gone on. So they were a good bit away from me. I could still see them. And so the people who were fixing it, that's the owners of the McDonald's, I guess, they said, look, we're going to fix this now, right? But your pony is going to really want to catch up with that group of other ponies. So
you had a pony that
you better
FOMO.
Hold on.
It's a constant FOMO for this. Just they're all like, oh, this needy fuck. and did it bullet? Did it go over?
The fucking thing took off. I could have won every fucking race in Ireland, you know. It was unbelievable. This thing went off like a bullet. And I managed to stay on, but I was like, this is completely arseways. I'm supposed to have control over this thing. Like, I mean, this thing has control over me. Like, this is completely backwards, you know?
Yeah. I always kind of like, because I guess we must have got in. Cantering is canter. I don't know what the difference. What's the difference now? Here's I'll take this on. Canter, gallop, trot, canter, gallop.
Well, you've got a walk. Walk is the slowest one, obviously. Then I think you've got a trot, which is faster than a walk. Then a canter is faster than a trot, and then a gallop is faster than a canter, I think. think that's
How do you? I wonder, is a gallop when all four legs leave the ground? As in, like the horse has a moment when it's
flying.
like, which is,
You're on a Pegasus. You're just fucking flying. Ooh.
well, you know, in your running,
flying across the sky.
I don't mean you sustain it.
All four legs leave the ground. No, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I don't remember those being at McDonald's. Actually, flying horses.
It was just a carousel we were on all the time, just going round and round in circles.
Slow down, you fuck. Slow down, the fuck.
Somehow still managed to get knocked off by a branch. How the fuck did this guy? Oh yeah. Good times.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's been a long time. But fucking Jesus Christ.
Back on the horse, yeah. So
yeah,
funny. There's back on the horse and back on the wagon. I guess both. The back on the wagon seems a little bit unusual. Back on the horse, I get it. You know, you fall off the horse, you get back on the horse. You have to get back on it, or you'll fear it. So it's about. But back on the wagon, I don't know how many people were falling off wagons back in the day.
Was it maybe a frontier thing, like the US? You know, and like you had a wagon train that used to be going out west. And if you were drinking, you might fall off the wagon, as in you're drunk. It must be more. I've heard it mostly related to drinking.
Drinking, yeah.
And maybe you're so drunk that you just fall off the wagon. He fell off the wagon. He's drunk.
Probably, yeah. I guess so, yeah.
It's good theory.
Then he's back on the wagon again, which means
he's sober. He's just drunk enough to stay on the wagon.
So that's what the AA meetings is all about. He's just drunk enough to survive, to maintain life.
Yeah, to stay on the wagon. It's a low bar, I have to say. I don't feel like those wagons are doing serious speed or anything like that.
I'm doing it, Mom. I'm doing it. I'm on the wagon. Oh, Christ.
But so you want to maintain basically. You want to get back to pre-Christmas revelry.
A phone maintain, as you know, you called me earlier on today, and I've been kind of putting my phone away a lot recently. I'm trying not to. I'm tired of my phone. I long for the days. Like, I got my first phone when I got the job as principal of the school that I was in. Like, that's 8 years ago. And that was the first time, and I think you didn't even have a smartphone. Smartphone. And you didn't even have a smartphone at that point.
No,
I think you were a bit later than me, and Jesus, I'm just longing for the days that I don't have this thing anymore. So, what do you call it? So I'm trying to kind of be a bit more regimental with how I use it, and so that's basically one of the main ones.
Can I just say one thing? And I mean this with love. Because I'm bad as well, right? But you are one of the fucking hardest people to contact to get any kind of response from. So what? And that's before you were trying to distance yourself from communicate. What the fuck? What does it look like when I'm going off grid? Again, I know I'm not great myself.
Maybe
people listen to this going, you dickhead, you're not great either, and I know that.
More connected,
me, I am nothing compared to Andy. Okay,
I don't know now. I don't know about that, but anyways.
Well, I got to say it first, so now people think it's true.
Okay, that's true. No, that I guess in fucking like, because I'm not even like that present on it. Like what the little amount I do online, it bugs me. Like, you know, I'm not on Instagram. You have thankfully and very appreciatingly taken on that. That realm.
I'm very good at it.
Yeah, you're rocking it, and you're rocking it in my eyes.
I'm really bad at it. Just so you know, I've been sarcastic.
Just doesn't matter. So, well, if you're bad at it, then everyone in Berlin thinks I'm bad at it, because I believe everyone in Berlin thinks it's mine. So you're representing us.
I had to clarify that with somebody I was messaging today on it. They were like, "Is this Andy or Ed?" I'm not telling. I'm telling you. No,
who do you want it to be?
Yeah, I can be whoever you want it to be, baby.
But Yeah, more just kind of, I guess, a relentless news cycle. You know, the feed thing that comes in, like when you open up Chrome or something like that, and just gives you the shit that you're interested in, and then you start scanning that, kind of like, you know, the whatever.
But you control that, no? Like, as in, you don't have to open up that.
Well, at least on this fucking piece of shit phone that I have now, because I had to get a new phone in the last 3 months, and on this phone at least, I don't know, maybe there's a way to, I'm sure, actually I don't want to get into this because I'm sure there's someone going to go, you know, you can just turn all that shit off. And no, I prefer to stay fucking irritated by it. Just, anyways,
Yeah, stagnant irritation.
I'm in control
That's
of
the
it
state
now.
I want. Okay.
I'm in control of it now. So
because I had a similar thing with YouTube Shorts, right? Genuinely, and it was terrible because it's just a scroll of death. Like, you just stay scrolling, and by the end of it, you feel like shit. And so I did. I had to give up that one because it was.
and it's not even just a wasted time, and it just shit gets in your head, and
Yeah.
that's the worst part of it all. You get the same with fucking. I don't want to start knocking things that I might need in the future, but just shit gets in your head, and you kind of start. Yeah,
Do you know,
it's not a nice place to be at the fucking real
No.
world, and meeting people and hanging out with people. There's just nothing in comparison to it, and I just, you know, I'm an old fogey.
Speaking of hanging out in the real world, I had such a nice New Year's Eve. Just gone. So what date we know? The 4th. Yeah. So I had a really, really cool New Year's Eve this past week. We went on to Paddy's in Terry Glass, and just talk about meeting people, and just the people that are there are just such a good laugh. And yeah, there's just a lot to be said for it. You know, having a few drinks and just having a laugh with people, and people that you haven't seen in a long time. You just get to have a chat with them and whatnot, and just the old mischief, you know, just the old fun mischief, basically. But I was out with, like, my family were there as well, so all my siblings, and Mark, my brother, came in and said to me at one stage, he goes, "Oh, there's a session out the back there. There's a room in the back of, the room in the back of Paddy's, small little kind of function room, close beside the stairs."
It was my bedroom.
That was your bedroom, was it?
It was all our bedroom at one point.
Is that where you watched the Red Shoe Diaries?
Maybe I did, and maybe I didn't.
Anyway, it's kind of a function room.
That was our sitting room. It was first a bedroom when we first moved in, because, like, we used to live in this bar that Ed is talking about. I lived there for 7 years, and that room that was it eventually became our sitting room. But at the beginning, when we first moved to Paddy's, because nothing was working and functioning really upstairs, we all, I'll never forget the first time we all just the whole family nestled in there and
Nice.
slept there for a couple of days. Yeah, there were funny times. There were interesting times. Best of times, and they were the worst of times. Yeah, I'd love to. I actually, the last time I was there, I asked, and they let me walk. I was telling them that I used to live there, and they just said, "Do you want to go? Do you want to go and look around?" So they let me upstairs and just walk around and look at it. It was really nice. I was able to bring the boys, Maliki and Seamus, with me and show them the place. And but I don't remember going on the back room. But I did. It's actually a private. It's actually part of the bar now. You can actually go there, or is it a private function, kind of mini function room?
I think you can go in there and hang out if you want to,
Wow, that's an excellent little snug there then.
It's a cool place. It's really cool.
Because the small bar in Paddy's is quite nice, but it's very small, and that corner is very hard. It's basically a locals area, and not a lot of room for anyone, and certainly not enough room for a session.
Yeah, it is a magical place though. The small bar. That's where you get all the goss. That's where you know. So I was told there's a session in the back room. Sorry, I have a bit of a cough, and went in there anyway. And nobody was playing any music, and but they said, they're outside. They're all having a smoke. So I went out, and there was like there's two people out there. Now again, I went back expecting like a big session, and then they're like, the people who were there were saying, I think it was day 2 of a wedding or something like that. People who were there, they were like, oh, they're out, they're taking a break, they're outside. So I went out anyway, but it wasn't really, there was 2 people, they were kind of having a private conversation, but I was so jarred at this point. I was like, I'm going to introduce myself. And so I walked over and sat down, was kind of said like, oh, you playing the session? And the guy goes, well, it's not really a session, it's just I'm just playing a few songs or whatever, like, you know. And I don't know how I got into it, but I think I came out and just asked him, could I play a few songs? Again, because I was just kind of drunk at this point. And I went back in. He was like, yeah, no problem, go on, you're grand, no bother. You know, this guy looks cool. Like, he looked cool, all right? Like, he had just, you know, I don't know how else to put it. He just, do you know what I mean?
I do.
Any follow-up questions?
I'm imagining him now. Okay, what, did he have long hair?
Longish. It wasn't short. It was longish.
Okay. Was it kept or unkempt?
He could have gone either way. He can do whatever he wants with it. This way, it looked kept, but like in a very like, I woke up this way.
I'm imagining he's not wearing jeans. Kind of slacks.
Don't know. I don't know.
Facial hair. I've got a little bit of stubble, I'd say.
Facial
maybe
hair,
even a beard.
facial.
Okay,
beard.
Right.
Yeah,
nice.
He had some. I think he had some earrings as well. Maybe.
Oh God, you're talking cool now, Ed. You're off the chart cool now.
Yeah. No, he was cool, and he was sound, right? So anyway, I went back inside, and he said, "Yeah, the guitar's there," and I'm going into this room full of strangers, and I went to the guitar, and I picked it up, and there's someone in the room said, hey, that's not your guitar. And I was like, I know, your man outside said I could play it if I wanted to. And they were like, okay, cool. So they just took my word for it straight away. I was like, yeah, okay, cool, man. And so I picked up the guitar and just checked the tuning of it. Fucking thing was tuned something weird. It was like, had a particular tuning on it. And I was like, oh no, So it occurred to me, I can't go back out and ask your man to tune it up for me. Because that would be like a seriously embarrassing move to make, I would say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hi, can you tune up? I'll play a few songs if you tune up the guitar for me, please. So I didn't do that. So I kind of tuned it by ear the best I could.
Nice, Ed.
No, I'd say it was more panic. It was more like, I've no other options here. I have to just try and tune this myself.
And you probably, at this point, because you're the new person in the room, a lot of eyes watching you do this thing that you're not so comfortable with.
Yeah.
Both because you're new and because they probably, while they let you have the guitar, they're also watching you because you have the guitar.
Yes, this is true. So I tuned it to the point where I was like, yeah, got it. And started playing a few songs. I couldn't find a pleck either. I was like, so I knew now. I couldn't find a pleck. There's no pleck in the guitar case. It was tuned weird. So I was like, that's 2 little ticks for me that this guy is a serious musician. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like, he plays other shit. Like, he plays, well. And anyway, someone then just handed me a pleck that they must have had in their pocket or something. I don't know. So he gave me a pleck anyway. So I was in business. I was playing songs. So I played a few fasties, and it's good crack or whatever, like grand or whatever, like, And then your man came back in, and I was like, oh great, and a few kind of pleasantries exchanged or whatever, like, and I was like, he picked up a tin whistle from wherever he was storing his tin whistles. I didn't notice he had it. We had a tin whistle, and he had a flute and whatever, and he started playing like a jig or whatever. And I was like, oh, I think I know that jig. So I started playing along with it or whatever. And then he switched jig. He finished that jig and he was going to the next jig. And because I had performed so well the first jig, I kind of did okay. He didn't bother telling me what key he was going into or anything like that. He was like, this guy's got it. And it's like you and the pony now, Al, or Andy. I was fucking knocked off. I was knocked off that pony. And I was just... I fucked up for a while, and I just stopped
low branches,
playing.
Ed. Low branches.
Low branch.
These guys got to fucking. You got to cut those branches.
He got me. But anyway, he finished his tune, and then I was like, "Oh, do you want a guitar? Do you want to play a song or whatever?" Like, so with your guitar. So I gave him back his guitar, and I was like, "Look, I tuned it back to normal tuning, just in case, whatever, if you want to be, play whatever," as if he needed to be told that. And He's like, yeah, no bother. So he picks up his tin whistle and he just blows into the tin whistle to get a note, and to help him tune the guitar. And he had to retune every single fucking string after I'd had it. But the best thing is nobody in the room noticed, I don't think, anyway, that I was playing with a completely out of tune
Well,
guitar,
the fact that you were able to do that by ear, and they were all like, he's there needing a whistle, and you just naturally picked up the guitar and tuned. They're probably looking at you now, and there's a podcast somewhere in Dublin. If I can pick up your accent right now, there's a podcast up there talking about this guy who intimidated the shit out of the whistle/guitar player. And how cool you looked, Ed.
Yeah, none of that happened. That has not been slightly close to anything that happened, but I appreciate your generous interpretation on my part. So anyway, he played songs and he was really good. And then I went out afterwards and again, Mark said to me, he goes, God, I think he's actually a fairly serious musician, as in like, that's his thing. He's a musician.
It's
his job. I was like, oh, I got his name, all right, and I went looking him up afterwards, and sure enough, he's a professional musician. He's played with a good few bands, and I mentioned him then when I came home here, told a story to Dee, and Dee was like, God, I read an article about him there the other day, and he's in this band that's tipped to be quite big this year, and they've got an album coming out and all this. Like, I don't want to give his name because I didn't get his permission to kind of give his name. Obviously,
Really?
Yeah, because
even though he's got an article out about him, he
hasn't got an article about him being in Paddy's on the on New Year's Eve. Maybe he's told.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? He's told his mammy he wasn't there.
Fair enough.
But it seemed like a really nice guy. But I did reach out to him on Instagram with a message, but he hasn't got back to me yet. So
all right, so maybe he'll reach back.
That can be dodgy though. That can be dodgy because you get a random message, because I don't know how much have you ever used Instagram, but you do get like random messages. I don't know if I have one here now, and I'll just open it. But like you do get random messages now. They normally fall into your requests ones. There's a messages section and a requests section in your messages. So normally the ones in the requests are all spam from like Big Boob 69 wants to connect, this kind of stuff. So my message to him is going to be lumped in with the likes of the Big Boob 69 and stuff like that.
We should have really got a different handle for the website. We shouldn't have gone with Big Boobs. It's just like anything else might have got us a little more
regular boobs. Regular boob 69.
Sound boobs.
But it was very nice, I have to say.
I hope you're accepting all those those irregular boobs into our Get Folked podcast. Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, you want to be friends? Cool. Come on. Just, come on in. The water's warm.
I did never know there's so many people interested in folk music and podcasts. Just amazing.
They want to meet up. All I have to do is just send them. What's our account number again?
Send them money, Andy. Yeah, asking for a friend. What's our account number?
Cool. Well, I look forward to asking you afterwards about who this is, and maybe he'll get back to us. And even if he doesn't,
no, look, I like, it's not a famous person. It's not like fucking borrowed Bono's guitar and Paddy's. It's not like that. It's just like
yeah.
But I looked at that was it. So I looked up videos and stuff like that of his music afterwards, and some gigs that they are playing and some music videos that he and his band have. No joke, right? In one of the videos that this man has, he's playing the harp at the start of the music video, and he's playing the guitar and I think the harmonica.
Nice. Okay.
Now, and he also plays tin whistle. Right.
Okay. So, listen, I we'll talk about this after post podcast, but I think like I've met people over here in Berlin and without permission name drop bands and stuff like that. So I people that are doing this, but I guess it's you're invading private life versus public life. And
exactly.
That's it. And meeting someone on a basketball court versus meeting someone at a wedding where they, You know,
exactly.
Maybe they shouldn't have been at the wedding.
Exactly.
You know, suddenly
maybe they told somebody that, you know, they were going somewhere else. I'm just going to the Jacks.
Well, maybe
they went to day 2 of a wedding.
Maybe that guy shouldn't have been in the basketball court. Maybe that. Huh? Maybe someone else invited him to play basketball. Can't even fucking remember. I couldn't remember the name after he told me directly. I bet you'll remember before I will. Fuck, what was the name of that band?
Which? The Murder Capital?
Murder Capital, sorry. Yeah. There you go. That's
okay.
People don't have to ever worry about telling me things because I'll forget immediately.
They only need to worry if you tell me what they've told you.
That's why I make such an excellent coach and therapist, because I give sound advice in the moment, but then forget it all immediately. So yeah.
No, nice. You undersell yourself there, man. But no, I think it's just more that that's his private life. I don't want to kind of be saying, you know what I mean?
No,
without his
absolutely, yeah. No,
but if he somehow listens to this episode, you are a gent and you look cool, as I've already established, and your music sounds very nice, I have to say. So,
a gent, not gentry.
Exactly. Not that I know of, but possibly
not that we know of. Could be one of those bastards. Those bastards. Yeah, my New Year's was different. We had a chilled, and we hung out with a good friend of ours from Berlin here, and we. So last year, we hung out together last year New Year's, and
we did.
We and my kids got a taste of Berlin fireworks for the first time. The visual of the Berlin fireworks. Because we were in another friend's of ours apartment, which is quite high up and has a good skyline view of Berlin. So we got to kind of see the and anyone that kind of doesn't know Germany and Berlin, just like there is no rules on fireworks thing. I'm sure you know it now because it's been all over the news, and indeed the Irish news.
Yes.
Irish news always grabs German headlines for some reason as well. It loves Germany. So yeah, I've had kind of family members contact me about it. But so anyway, fireworks are available for purchase here. My kids experienced last year the fireworks and liked it. So we agreed to kind of bring them out into the fireworks world this year as well. But we weren't on a balcony this year. So, and I live in a ground floor, so we'd have to go for a wander. And I know you bought a firework last year, and
I did,
and set that baby off. So this year I have made my debut, and I bought a couple of fireworks.
It's exciting.
Bought myself 6 fountain fireworks, which are ones that you just kind of light on the ground, and they just spew up kind of sparkling lights and things like that. So they're pretty low key, but 4 rockets then as well.
The rockets.
The rockets, yeah. So kind of similar to one you got last year. And weirdly donned in all the German colors as well. Very patriotic rockets as well. So they were just like full German flag in the box. So bought them, and it's funny, like you can buy these rockets like in Lidl, like, you know, or Penny is the name of the shop that I got them in, which is basically the same as Lidl, probably a little bit worse than Lidl actually, but yeah, so like that's the first thing as well, is just that as an Irish person that you can buy these rockets just anywhere, and so bought them, and so we said like we'll set these rockets off in our own time, kind of, because I don't want to be setting this off maybe when it's a bit crazier. So we did. We went up around half 4 or 5. made a bit of a mistake the first time because. So again, I'm not sure how these things work. So the first thing I did was, and I think you made this mistake the last time as well, was so we went up to the bridge, Hobrechtbrücke, which is close enough to where we live, and went over near the canal where there was a bit of green, and I stuck the rocket into the ground and tried to light it, and I was lighting it for ages and ages and ages, and kind of similar to you trying to tune the guitar. A whole group of people decided, they're setting off a firework. So they decided to look at me as well. So I was like, pressure. And I'm already scared out of my life because I don't know how this works. But it turns out there's a protective casing over the thing. Were you trying to light that protective casing last year as well?
Yes.
Made the same mistake.
Safety first. Safety first. That's
safety first.
the fireworks.
So then one of those people kindly came up to me and said like, "Oh, you have to take the casing off first." And of course, I blattered out straight, "It's my first firework. It's my first firework." So completely and utterly, demasculating myself in front of my children, my wife, and my friends, and these people. My firework. And they were like, "Oh, cool. Yeah." So anyway, lit the firework up. All of us standing in a kind of, I would say, maybe, let's say 3 meters away from it, like a good distance, because it's pointing up. But lit the fireworks, so the fuse goes, gets to the point of explosion where the rock is supposed to take off. But because I had stuck it so far in the ground, it just went, and then we were all staring at it going, "Oh shit!" And next thing, boom, and the sparks or the whatever comes off it was all just around us. But it was fine. Nobody was hurt, and it was and I learned a lesson that I'll never forget, which is do not stick the firework into the ground. This is, and I wouldn't mind, only we had an old broom that was broken that I brought with me specifically to put the firework into. So I would have an empty, so it has like a cylinder kind of, it's a broomstick metal one. Didn't bother using that, just went straight for the ground and really rammed that baby into the ground. There was no this is going to lift the ground before it was going to take off. And so anyways, discovered how to do fireworks, moved back onto the bridge, and it was really quiet at this point. It was really quiet. There was actually nobody there, and I was like, Jesus, like, because usually there's people, you can hear fireworks in the distance being set off, and but like there was nobody on Hobrechtbrücke, and Hobrechtbrücke has just been redesigned now. It's actually got a bigger path now, and it's only got one lane of traffic that's allowed to go through it. So there's like, it's primed for people gathering. But anyway, nobody there. Set off the other 4 fireworks. Malachi lit one as well. He lit his first firework as well. It was pretty cool. So it's nice. They fly up in the air, whatever. Enough for me. That's like, okay, I've ticked the fireworks box then, and scratched that itch that the boys had in terms of wanting to do fireworks. So then we came back to the house here, and they watched something, and we hung out and had a few beers, and then we said, okay, coming up to midnight, 11:45, got the boys out of bed, and said we're going back up to Hobrechtbrücke. And didn't, maybe in hindsight, not going to do it again. Like, we got up there, and it was like, there was a lot of fireworks going off, and I remember the first time I ever experienced it was with you, the New Year's Eve in Berlin. I think I was with you. Yeah, and just remembering all I wanted to do was get to the apartment because I was just so frightened of just fireworks. Now I've definitely numbed to that fear of kind of, okay, fireworks are not going to hit me in the face or whatever, but there's still that, like, it goes out, they go off everywhere, and there's always the potential for an asshole to just like decide he's going to point a firework downwards and just shoot at you.
I'm pretty sure that's a like a popular pursuit. I'd say it's in Germany on New Year's Eve. It's
maybe, I don't know, like, not even maybe, yes it is. It is. Now, in the sphere, I talked about this quite a bit before coming out of the podcast about kind of how I want to kind of approach this, and I definitely don't want to play down how serious it is here, in terms of like the dangers. And clearly 5 people died. Now most of those, in fact, I believe all those 5 people that died had homemade rockets. They were doing their own thing with their rockets, and either that or they had level 4. So there's 4 levels of fireworks that you can get here in Germany, and level 4 is one that needs a license. Everything up to that is can be bought over the store. You just have to be over 18. Level 1, you have to be over 12 years of age. But I don't know. Like, our friend of ours that was with us knew the names of some of these things, but in the grand scheme of it, of the amount of people that are doing this, I'm like amazed that there's not a lot more. Like, so give in some parts credit to society, but at the same time, you can't give everyone weapons and expect everyone to act responsibly. I guess America is a good example of that. And so, like, give everyone a gun, see how it works out. Like, if everyone's responsible, we'll be fine. Oh shit, we're not fine. Let's give everyone more guns.
Death by firework, though, is Yeah, it's I don't know, bit of an avoidable one, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So we went up to the bridge anyway. I took a recording for whatever reason. I was just like, this is midnight. The phone's in my pocket. It's not great because, of course, it's just a load of banging. But like, I just to give you a sense of kind of whatever. So not a lot to be kind of read into from that, apart from the little, because that was a rocket that was literally beside me that went off. So this was midnight, and I would say there's easily like there's across the bridge there's a group of teenagers, maybe 20-year-olds, kind of that, and they're the ones I'm kind of scared of. They're the ones I'm watching because these people are just insane. They're holding like full on fireworks that like they call them battery fireworks because they have a timer on them that like or whatever, a fuse that like goes sets the first one off, the second one off, the third one off, the fourth one off, and they're just holding them up and just firing them. They're holding the thing, like the thing that you're supposed to put on the ground. They're holding it and they're not firing it straight at people. But they are firing it over people and over us and over everyone. And at midnight, the place is just everyone. Everyone is setting off these rockets and holding them up. And to our left, there's this. I guess you call them firecrackers, but like it's like on the ground. It's like, but it's like it's insane. The smell of the smoke is just rising and rising, and we have our two boys there as well. So in hindsight, like thankfully, like our friend is there and Pauline is there, and we're all kind of just circling around them. They're looking to us to see is it safe, like they're looking like at our faces going, and we're just like smile. This is all part of it. And but like this thing that's happening to our left is like someone's thrown just like I can't describe, but there was definitely a sense of fear because whatever was happening to our left, the crowd was starting to move towards us, like the fire was getting closer to them. So everyone was kind of shifting towards us, and we stayed there about 5 minutes, and we were like, okay, like let's get out of here as soon. But then getting out of there, we had to cross the bridge, so we had to, because we were on the opposite side of the bridge of where we needed to get back. So like, it's just a matter of kind of circling your kids and kind of just watching to see who's setting off the next firework, giving eyes to people. Almost like it feels like your kids are kind of like the only safety you have. When people see kids, they're like, okay, well, let's not shoot rockets at them because they have children.
Yeah.
So I've got my kids in front of me now, and I'm like, go, Malachy, lead the way. No, I never did that. But yeah, it was absolutely, it's insane. I'm glad they saw it. I don't think I'll ever do it again. I think I'm done now. I've witnessed the absolute insanity, and I have to say, like on the bridge, like I didn't see anything particularly bad happening or bad happening at all. But of course, and in a city or a country of 80 million people, to say the amount of damage and things that were done, of course it's terrible. The emergency service getting rockets thrown at them and police getting rockets fired at them whenever they try to come and sort something out. It's absolutely disgraceful. I would totally understand the banning of it. There's part of me that's like always trying to fight this kind of control of Berlin. I think we've talked about this before, the kind of trying to control people and trying to not let people do what they want to do. But as you said, it's maybe an avoidable one that maybe isn't that great. We can I don't know. I struggle with it a little bit.
I didn't know you were so passionate about fireworks, Andy.
I said this today, and like we've had many conversations. I'm not at all. But there's yeah, it's deadly. It is just so crazy, and like I have another. Like it's a sad story when it comes to it as well, and this is why it just takes a few assholes to kind of destroy things for everyone. And in this case, it's like destroying a life of someone, because I told you before, like this bar that I went to in Bavul, and you went to one of their workshops before.
Yeah.
That's a part of a group that I'm part of here, and one of the guys that plays there and lives here in Berlin, he just posted Folkberg, yeah.
Folkberg, yeah.
Folkberg, yeah. Yeah, if anyone ever coming to Berlin, there's a fantastic bar, cafe. They sell food and drinks, and ridiculously reasonably priced, and just great music from a lot of Eastern European music. But a guy that he posted in this group a video, and his apartment got rocketed. And when he was out, he came back that night. He's a musician, a music teacher, and a sound engineer. And the rocket hit his window or whatever, got inside, smashed, exploded, and his entire life was burned out. All his old, like all these really beautiful old Eastern European instruments, all different types of drums, all his sound equipment, all his monitors for performances, everything destroyed, burnt out. And he started a GoFundMe page because he's just basically his entire life has just been kind of ripped out. He had no insurance on the house. So whatever. I don't blame him for that. He shouldn't fucking need insurance for something like this, especially. But yeah, so like that's the other side of it as well. So like you have of course people dying and people getting injured and so many people getting fucking hands blown off. So yeah, there is definitely a good argument for like going, okay, this is probably enough. But I think this happens on a yearly basis in Berlin, in Germany, in terms of like the discussion: should we not? But like, fuck it, what do you do with ambulance and workers and people just trying to fucking maintain the peace? And crazy. But
the guys holding the rockets in their hands, I can't understand that, because it's like, like it's not because it's not cool. It's like because something could be wrong. I mean, it's like, you're putting a lot of faith in the quality control there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of the rocket, of this thing. It's like gunpowder in a fucking bit of cardboard. You have like incredible faith in that in that thing. Not to be
man, you should see them, like, because they have like, these ones that they hold have like, they've got like, let's say, call them cylinders, and they have like 12 to 16 cylinders of rockets that are going to be shot off. And it's just watching them, it's while I've never experienced war and I never want to experience war, I think it's the closest I'll ever get to understanding the fear that you have of being like just shot at. It's not even close. I understand that, like all the colorful lights flying around. But you know what I mean? Like that fear of just kind of, especially when you have your kids there as well. Like, that just, and people just kind of with this, just fucking standing up there and just, oh man, it's fucking, like, that's what, like, you read it everywhere. It was like anyone that writes about these things, it's like, it was like a war zone. It was like a war zone. Oh. And I'm sure none of these people are really understanding war zones, as I am not either. But it's, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Just, it's absolutely insane. It's crazy. So yeah, fireworks in Berlin. That was my New Year's Eve. Less singing and less jovial. No, it was jovial. We had a great time, and we always do. We've hung out with our friend quite for a lot of New Year's. It's kind of not a tradition, but it's quite often that we do. Is just we kind of hang out and watch shite and drink and hang out, and then pop outside and do the whole Gute Rutsche and Guten Rutsche, good slide, as the Germans say. Nice slide into the new year.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a lovely phrase they use. I'm probably saying it assways now as well. So, but yeah, they'll know what I'm saying. That. What else then? Yeah, I found another then. Just one other interesting thing was from that Folkberg group as well, which was Stephen's Day. Stephen's Day, this Bulgarian guy sent a video of some musicians that were playing. Again, this is a very short clip, and this is not me, but this is from Bulgaria, and I'll just talk about a little bit about them afterwards. But this is a little clip of. So, like, this is a music clip and a video from Bulgaria on Stephen's Day. And it's really, they're called a kukeri. And when you see these people dressed up, how to fucking describe it? It's like, Chewbacca from Star Wars?
Yes.
So imagine, like, or if anyone is not familiar with Chewbacca, then just think of a Yeti. but a yeti with a very giant, pointy, hairy hat. And this is a tradition in Bulgaria that they do, where it's to ward off kind of traditional ritual, kind of to scare away evil spirits. And they do it kind of. The reason it got me so interested is because when you read about this Kukeri tradition, it's connected to the mummers as well. So it's like it has roots in mumming or mumming. And so the general and you talk about it, the Kukeri are now considered to be part of a general Balkan mumming tradition that emerged sometime in the early modern period, which would be like between the 16th and the 18th century. And I just kind of found it so fascinating that it's weird the way these mumming things, and when you look at these people, and if you look it up, it's Kukeri. Their hats are very similar to the kind of traditional mumming attire that would be used in Irish mumming as well. Kukeri. And it's just it's fascinating kind of to see that kind of like, where does it all begin, and where do they all kind of like who's stealing who? Because if you go back through the Irish kind of mumming, mummers and kind of that, it's like that claims to go back to kind of the 13th century. And the mummers being kind of these folk plays, or performed like troops of actors and singers and people that are just kind of performing for locals to reenacting. Like I think a big one in England is to reenact the St. George slaying the dragon. Would be a fairly big one. So it's just I just kind of it made me smile to think that like in other countries there's these kind of weird little traditions that are similar to kind of the ones that we never get dressed up though for any of that kind of stuff. We should start kind of looking into the mummers. We can't even.
No, but there would be. So there's a lot of face coverings, as in you've got a full on mask and head covering, like so your whole head is covered. Looking at these guys, and I agree, it looks really cool. But I'm just picturing us singing Fisherman's Blues. Dressed like that.
We need to well, we can find a good balance, man. We'll bring it.
Rare old mountain Jew. Fiddly da, fiddly da. We're just dressed like this monster, this giant
and we
bear.
Already sweat like fucking
like we'd have to play outside.
I like the definition at the Kukeri. Can I read a little bit for you?
Absolutely.
Kukeri is a divinity personifying fesundity. Question, Eddie. What is fesundity? I'll read the sentence again. So I'll read the Kukeri is a divinity personifying fecundity or fecundity. I'd say it is fecundity.
I do not know.
The ability to produce an abundance of offspring or new growth, fertility.
Fecundity.
Sometimes in
Red Shoe
Bulgaria.
Diaries. Gotcha.
This is going full circle.
Yes.
Sometimes in Bulgaria and Serbia, it is a plural divinity. In Bulgaria, a ritual spectacle of spring. So it's normally in spring, sort of carnival. It takes place after a scenario of folk theatre in which Kuker's role is interpreted by a man attired in a sheep or goat pelt, wearing a horned mask and girded with a large wooden phallus. During
it's so typical of me to laugh at that.
Well, that's what grabbed me as well. It was like, this is maybe this is what we're going to do. During the ritual, various physiological acts are interpreted, including the sexual act as a symbol of the god's sacred marriage, while the symbolical wife appearing pregnant mimes the pains of giving birth. This ritual inaugurates the labors of the field, ploughing and sowing, and is carried out with the participation of numerous allegorical personages, among which is the emperor and his entourage.
Like, I'm 100% certain, I know we've mentioned it several times in this already, but I'm 100% certain that is what the entire series of the Red Shoe Diaries is trying to communicate. It was just an allegorical representation of all of those things. That's all it was.
David Duchovny is a genius. A fucking genius. And that man does not get the credit that he deserves. He was way ahead of his time, and not appreciated apparent enough.
I did actually read a headline many years ago that he was having back problems because he was addicted to sex.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's probably carrying that giant head, or maybe the phallus, the giant wooden phallus. Yeah, it's just like it's too much in the body. Yeah, but yeah. So it's funny. Like you can go into such detail with kind of these traditions, these old kind of traditions. Like so, the Kukeri, like they're supposed to be like pre-Christian. A Thracian. Do you know what Thracian is?
Thracian, like
Thracian,
were they a type of people in Bulgaria? They were the ancient people in Bulgaria, I thought, no?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of the Indo-European speaking people that were kind of Bulgaria, Romania, all that kind of area, and so and connected to the god, kind of Dionysus.
Dionysus,
Dionysus, Jesus,
yes.
I'm fucking murdering all the fucking.
No, I remember hearing about that guy. Is he the god of drinking? No, is that Dionysus? Is he the god of drinking? No,
yes,
the god of drunkenness or something. Or he's the one where he was an old Greek god, wasn't he? Where they were like, if you get drunk, it's like introducing the god Dionysus and you show your true self. Is that Dionysus?
Well, like the drink goes in, the truth comes out.
That kind of thing. Is that right? Or am I mistaken?
Yes, I believe so. I can't remember. It's sounding familiar. All I could, because I got distracted once again, because when I looked up the Dionysus, and then when you hover over it, and it just gives you a little snippet. Just give me a snippet of his sculpture of him, and no wooden phallus there. It was a very modest phallus.
He was too busy drinking. He wasn't interested in all that.
Shriveled up into nothing. That's what happens.
It's whiskey.
That's what happens, kids. It's whiskey. Damn whiskey dick. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, everyone. Be careful.
There's many victims. There are many victims out there.
So yeah. But anyways, so there were my two little bits. Was the fireworks of Berlin, which were quite frightening, and the mummers of Bulgaria. It'd be really nice to kind of go researching all of these kind of mummers and just kind of. I'm sure there is probably a documentary already about it, kind of going around and about. But if there isn't, and you're listening, Irish Arts Council, we're ready. We're ready to thrust our wooden phalluses into the fire. And
no whiskey dick here, I can tell you that. What we will produce.
It's naturally that small. It's just it's like that's all. All right. Well, we'll call it a night.
Yes, but I do have to say something at the end there, because I'm conscious that I look. Maybe it means that I am a dickhead. Maybe that's what it means. But I always feel like a dickhead, like immediately after I say something like Dionysus. Like, as in, you pronounced it, and I was like I think it's pronounced Dionysus, but I'm just conscious now that I've corrected you, not being 100% sure that I'm correct, but I still corrected you anyway. And then it was like,
I can guarantee you
maybe it means I am a dickhead.
The amount of times that I have No, I'm going to talk over you, Ed, now, and go,
okay,
it's fine. It's fine. Let's correct each other, because I'm telling you that I get feedback now and again, and the amount of times that I will say things. But I've done that since I got to, like, I think I remember having a conversation with you about some German word years ago and how I pronounced it. And he's like, but you wouldn't pronounce it that way in English. So why are you suddenly changing the way you'd phonetically pronounce something? And I kind of have a tendency just go the opposite direction of whatever it's supposed to be. I tend to kind of go the other way, which has seen me well, but also makes me look like an idiot.
You have a flair for the exotic.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
A flair for the phallus. Phalanx. What is that kind of phallus? Jesus Christ!
I'm not correcting you. I'm not correcting you.
Have a lovely week, everyone, and we'll see you in next week. Bye, Ed.
Goodbye.